Hey, welcome to MVP's All Things Considered, where we talk about, well, everything the paranormal encompasses. So you ready? All right then, let's do this. This podcast wouldn't be possible without the support of our sponsor, Yup Gear. Is that Yup Gear? Yup.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of MVP's All Things Considered. This season is all about UFOs and strange sightings across the skies. Is this episode 7? Fuck.
Yep.
This is episode 7, where we will be discussing the historical and religious mentions of UFOs and extraterrestrials. I'm Evan, and I'm here with Mel, Joe, Tyler, and Paul. Let's get into it.
Okay, Evan, go ahead. Talk about it. I have to say, Evan, this was like when you first introduced this topic to us. Like I thought, it's going to be easy. Sure. There's got to be stuff where they mention it. I was a little surprised at what I found in which religions.
Yeah, I've looked more into the historical mentions of UFOs and stuff versus the religious mentions in history. Mm-hmm. Most of what I've found as far as religious mentions of UFOs and aliens is more recent stuff.
I was able to find stuff in the, I don't know if what do we call them? Holy books, scriptures, what have you? But it's not just like Christianity is the one where I had the most difficulty, surprisingly. And I thought it would be a lot easier.
Yeah, I figured the Catholic Church be talking a bunch about some, UFOs and aliens and whatnot.
Well, in 1891, though, I did find that Pope Leo XII established a space observatory just to study unidentified flying objects. And I thought that was pretty interesting, especially for the Catholic Church, who's pretty rigid about everything.
Yeah, who didn't until very recently say anything about
No, it's not that they're rigid. It's that they want to collect all the information for themselves and then keep it under lock and key and keep it from the general public.
Yeah, most religions. Yeah, most religions like Catholicism or Christianity, they don't really want to believe in that stuff because then they think that if there is that, then there's not God is not real or whatever. Some people probably think that. Some people probably don't.
Which I find interesting. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to ask. I'm not a religious person, so the existence or non-existence of aliens doesn't bother me in the slightest, or my beliefs in anything. But as you guys, I don't know your religious preferences, but
I am.
What if aliens are proved to be real and there's other life in the universe? Does that damage your beliefs in Christianity or God in any way?
Absolutely not.
I know for myself it wouldn't at all because like the Bible itself just talks about God made everything, God created everything in space and whatnot, and then it talks about Earth. It doesn't talk about all the other planets.
Right. So, it mentions heavenly bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So in that respect, and keep in mind, the Bible for Christianity is very earth-centric. Most of these Christian religions, regardless of the denominations or even Catholicism, they are very earth-centric. So I think there's some speculation that if we discover life on other planets, it would destroy our faith in God or our faith in Christ. And actually, I don't see how it would, because Christ was sent here on earth, according to my belief, and it was to deal with the problems here on earth, not necessarily.
It doesn't say anything about that he didn't go anywhere else.
Right. I mean, if the scriptures talk about heavenly bodies and even, angels for that matter, it's not as a Christian, it's not up to me to decipher what God meant by that.
I don't think the Bible was written to be the be all end all. I think it was definitely created for good. I think that it would be impossible to explain every single thing there ever could be by a creator who could create every single thing that could be.
Yeah.
You also have to take into account how many books have been excluded from the Bible, how many have been added. The fact that
have you guys read the Hebrew Bible?
I don't speak Hebrews.
Oh my!
Nice.
I love Joe.
We now join this program already in progress.
Yeah, you make a good point, Joe, though. You know, how many times has the Christian Bible, you know, starting from the original Hebrew Bible, how many times has it been rewritten and, you know, things excluded from it? And there might have been stuff about other worlds but in it originally. I don't know. I'm not a theologian or anything, so I don't know nothing about that.
I know, like, for myself,
sorry, you guys, I'm still trying to recover from Hebrews.
I know I've heard stories of like the Hebrew Bible was rewritten by like monks that could speak Hebrew, that could translate it into like a King James version or you know, whatever version they were trying to turn it into. And yeah, they could have took out a bunch. Plus, monks are a completely different religion. So if they didn't like something that was in it, they could have just took it out.
Sure. How do you fact check the fact checkers?
And King James was a drunk king, so
yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
But I think 3 of the most fascinating books in the Bible are no longer in the Bible. The books of Enoch.
Yes.
I mean, that's where they talk about celestial beings, angels coming down, the offspring of these angels that they've had with humans. They talk about celestial vessels coming down. I mean, there's a lot. And if you just go substitute celestial for alien, it makes a hell of a lot more sense.
Oh, yeah.
That's very interesting. I've only heard mention of, you know, and of the Book of Enoch and stuff like that, but I've never actually sat down and read it.
I know, like what Joe's kind of. Oh, go ahead, Mel. Sorry.
No, the reason why, because I did take a theology class, a couple of them, and I was always wondering why Enoch wasn't in it. And the explanation, I mean, at first it was, but then they took it out because technically it was considered the book was not inspired by God. It was quoted in the apocryphal book of Baruch and in several early church manuscripts, but then they removed it because it wasn't concluded that it was God inspired or something like that.
So somebody chose to say that the book wasn't good enough for the Bible. Like,
yeah, well, it was
that's
never.
What I got out of it.
Yeah, the Book of Enoch was never referred to by Christ or any of the New Testament writers as scripture, and so it wasn't considered in the New Testament by the apostles. So, and it's often thought that the content of the Bible had evolved, but the New Testament stated that the apostles were identifying scripture as it was being written. So, you know, there are fragments, and I think it's important that people, whether you believe in the Bible or not, or you're a Christian or not, or Catholic, whatever, that you do read Enoch, because as Joe mentioned, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah, I mean, the Book of Enoch talks about, you know, origins of demons and the Nephilim and, you know, all kind of crazy stuff.
It talks about giants too.
Yeah, that's the Nephilim. Yeah, the giants.
Oh, yeah.
The giants that supposedly used to roam this earth, from what they said. So that's pretty wild.
They dug some of those up, and I think in San Francisco.
Dug some up?
Yeah, like bones and stuff like that.
I was thinking like baseball players, but whatever.
Shit. So yeah, Christianity and Catholicism, they do mention earthly things or heavenly beings. They are earth-centric. However, there are other religions that are just as old, if not older, that actually, I would say, refer to the possibility of other life. Is that a good way of phrasing it, Evan?
Yeah, I mean, are you talking like ancient Sumerians and stuff like that?
Buddhism.
Okay, elaborate.
Okay, so Buddhism also references the existence of other worlds, because I found some Buddhist texts that described different various regions, and not all of them earthly, where people live simultaneously but without contact. And keep in mind, with Buddhism, they also believe in reincarnation, but they're very, how do you even describe Buddhism without coming across as a dick? Well, they're very nicey-nicertons, where they don't want to humble. Okay, that'll work.
Pacifists.
Pacifists, yeah. They don't want to ostracize or exclude where many other religions do. So they take into consideration the possibility that, hey, you can assume some other life form in another life, as well as the possibility that, let's say, there is another realm and another world with beings that are similar to the ones on our earth that exist at the same time as we do. And what they are conscious and aware of these other beings, they just can't interact. So that has been found in Buddhist text. I was able to find, and also there's
same thing with the Taoists.
Yeah, I mean, Hinduism too. Hinduism and Buddhism, they both posit countless celestial realms with beings who are more or less spiritually advanced than humans.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got like Shiva the Destroyer, that one chick with, what is it, 6 hands?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So there's those. Also, there's indigenous spiritualities in that believe that extraterrestrials are called star people or something. Star people.
Starman.
Yeah. And they refer to them as the ancestors to their tribe. And hence they had hieroglyphics.
Yeah. There's another one you guys aren't hitting on. It's the Asatru.
The Asatru. What's that?
Thor, Tyr,
Norse religion?
Yes, the Norse religion. The Asatru is their Bible. And they talk about giants and celestial beings as well, things coming down from the sky. Yeah.
Other realms.
Yeah, I did not know that. Educate me, Jojo.
I don't know a whole lot, but I've heard my buddy Russ talk about it from time to time. And giants are a really, really big thing in the heathen religion.
Make a note of that. Giants are really big.
They're called the Jotun.
Jotuns.
Yeah, in the Norse mythology, I believe they're referred to as the Jotun. It's spelled with a J, so I don't really know how to pronounce it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I had no idea.
But honestly, their realm is called the Jotunheim, I believe.
Interesting.
I love the Heims.
And that's the realm of the giants.
Does it say anything about like how tall they are?
Oh well, no, I don't know. I haven't read that far into it.
The only reason I ask is because I mean, if you have people of a later time period, and you take of how tall most men and most women were of the time versus like there's this random person that's like 8 foot tall, like, would they be considered a giant, or are we talking like something that's like 10 or 15 feet tall?
I'm not sure, man.
That's a good question. What qualifies?
Just somebody of that time could think, like somebody that is, let's say, 7 foot tall, could be otherworldly, or they could look at him as a god or a goddess or whatever it is.
Well, damn. That I did not know either.
I mean, like pygmies, for example. I mean, we all could be giants.
What?
I don't know. Am I
Oh,
wrong?
you gotta love the little pygmy people.
What? You have no idea how that will make me and one of my children feel now that we know we are giants. Because I am somewhat vertically challenged. She's shorter than me. My oldest is shorter than me. And now we know.
I'd like to see a pygmy stripper pop out of a cupcake.
Me too.
What the hell channel did that come from?
Oh, man.
Well, dear, no, but if you also think about during the 17th and 18th century, there were Enlightenment thinkers such as Kant and I believe Swedenborg, and they had groups of spiritists and theosophists who avowed the existence of advanced life forms on other planets. I mean, they wrote about it, and that's 17th and 18th century when Enlightenment was really booming. So it's not like this is something just from our time since like 19. And I think that's a problem, that a lot of people think that it's just from the 1940s, 1950s, that all of a sudden, there's this thought of UFOs and extraterrestrial beings, but come to find out it's riddled in various religion. Islam. Did you know that in the Quran, in multiple places in the Quran, there are assertions that other rational, intelligent beings exist in other worlds who also worship and are accountable to Allah according to them. That's
so
crazy.
They think that there's aliens on other worlds that also worship Allah?
Yeah. For example, I found
that's interesting.
In Shura I don't even know how to say these things right, so I'm sorry to Muslims.
Butcher?
Yeah. Al-Fatiha Allah. Otherwise, Holy Quran 1:2. It says, quote, all praise is for Allah, Lord of all worlds. In Shura Ashura, so they say that Allah says, quote, and among his signs is the creation of the heavens and the earth and of whatever living creatures he has spread forth in both and beyond. And he has the power to gather them together whenever he pleases. The Quran mentions over and over and over the 7 heavens and then the earth, different, as well as I think I saw in there, I mean, there's lots of them about the other worlds. But the key tie in all of it is that they all worship Allah, and they all, he controls them all. So they all are accountable to the same one. He just kind of governs them, I guess, differently. If someone believes in Islam and I'm incorrect in that interpretation, or if I'm misunderstanding it, please feel free to send us an email correcting that. But I just kept finding a lot of references in Islam to these other worlds. That was crazy to me.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
I was like,
yeah, that's the first time I think I've heard that.
When you're looking at the more recent, I don't even know if you want to say recent, because they are still old. They're not like just drawn up now. I found that in Brazil, there's a religion called the Valle de Amanhecer, the Valley of the Dawn. They claim to be the spiritual descendants of a race of beings from the distant some star Capella that was sent by God to jumpstart Earth's evolution. Odd.
Now that sounds like something that Tom Cruise would be on board with.
Right.
This moment will be the moment of something real and fun and inspiring in this God-forsaken business, and we will do it together. Who's coming with me? Who's coming with me? Who's coming with me?
We're not even, and you know what? We're not going to say anything about Scientologists and L. Ron Hubbard because those fuckers will come after all of us, and we're not going there.
Yeah, you gotta be careful what you're saying about them. That is for sure.
Fake religion. Mormons, in the Mormon scripture, they have a scripture, the Pearl of Great Price, and that claims the existence of other inhabited worlds other than Earth, and that God already lives on another planet. So I guess my question is, so are they asserting that God's an alien? I don't know. I don't get that.
Oh, that would make sense.
Right. There's a North American religion, Unarius. I guess that's how you pronounce it. The leader is Ruth Norman now, claimed to be in contact with these space brothers that are highly evolved intelligence inhabiting other galaxies. So, yeah.
Now, is that a religion or a cult?
I was about to ask. It kind of sounds like a cult because they have a leader.
Hey.
Yo,
I could be wrong.
The Catholic Church has a leader. Just saying. You know,
isn't it just a matter of perspective?
Mormonism has a leader.
Isn't it just a face?
What religion
how do we know?
be construed as a cult from another religion?
Every religion's going to consider the other one.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, but I'm just saying and not to mention, again, indigenous tribes. Let's look at Native American and their beliefs. And Egyptians. Hello.
Yeah. They had a lot of different gods and worlds and realms and everything else.
I mean, who else made those pyramids? Anybody see Alien versus Predator? Hello.
Yeah, we don't include that though in either the Alien or the Predator franchises. We just kind of ignore those because they don't fit. If you're a true fan, sorry.
They fit.
Yeah.
No,
how dare you? You shut that dirty whore mouth of yours.
Oh my.
Just kidding.
Damn, that escalated quickly.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm just but if you're going back to Egyptians and the natives and indigenous tribes here, the hieroglyphics, the writings in these tombs and on these plates and tablets and stuff, don't they all don't they all depict some sort of
people from the sky?
Yeah,
absolutely. Look at the Mayans as well.
Sure.
I was just about to ask, I guess it's more of like a question for the group and any listeners. So for the Mayans, obviously they believed in I don't know if they called them star people or their gods. I don't remember which one it was, but for them specifically, all the Mayans are no longer here. So does everybody think that they just died out, or does everybody think that they were taken somewhere else?
I think Scotty beamed them up.
I don't know, man. That's making a lot of presumptions there. And I don't know. I don't even pretend to know what happened thousands of years ago. But for a whole group of people to just up and disappear with no trace of where they went, no bones left behind, no nothing.
Exactly.
Dinner
pretty
sitting
weird
on the table. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty strange. But now I don't know. There, could have been some other group of people that came in there and took them all hostage and took them halfway across the continent. I don't know.
Couldn't they have just died out?
But there would be bones and skeletons left.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, they were a massive civilization.
Yeah, I think they all moved into with the Aztecs.
Oh, there you go.
Weren't those two close together somewhere geographically, or am I wrong?
I'm pretty sure they were close. Weren't they all based mostly in Central America?
Yeah, something like that, I thought.
Yeah, Central and South America, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of speculation as to what that's all about. And for anybody listening out there, I don't want you to think that we're, subscribing to the ancient astronaut theory of History Channel's Ancient Aliens or nothing like that. But
I don't like that guy's hair.
I love his hair. His hair is fucking phenomenal, and you don't ever talk shit about his hair.
I will shut my dirty whore mouth.
I get cracked up so much when I see that guy.
Oh my God. Yeah. How did he become an alien expert?
I don't know, man. I don't pretend to know
his dad made Spaceballs.
Wait, what? What? Is that true?
I've heard it before. I could be wrong.
Mel Brooks?
I will look it up real quick.
His dad is Mel Brooks? No.
I don't think so.
I thought he's like some Greek dude, like Papadopoulos or something. But I know okay, we're getting off track. Anyway, sorry. I am so it's like shiny thing, squirrel. So the
squirrels aren't shiny.
I think it's the pyramids and the Mayan tombs that have completely kind of thrown me for a loop. Because, okay, for example, and they kind of interrelate in a way, because the Mayan city of, I think it's Palenque, I'm not sure. But anyway, there was a carving of Pakal, and that was like this major ruler of the ancient Mayans. And the depiction was where it's like carved out was found. He's controlling an upward facing machine, I guess you would say it is, with flames and smoke shooting out the back. And initially, archaeologists were saying that it represented the tree of life. However, the two foremost leading Mayan epigraphers, I don't know, experts, epigrapher, I think that's how you pronounce it. They stated that the inscriptions all around the tomb with that picture detail an ascent into space. And then if you look when they went inside the sarcophagus, the remains of that ancient ruler was significantly taller than just the average height of the ancient Mayans. It also had a very unusual bone structure. And then he was supposedly ruled
structure.
He ruled for 68 years, lived to the age of 80, which was drastically longer than the average lifespan for that era. And then 25 miles away, there were the pyramids at Tikal, which I think they were another, I mean, it was a water source or from a body of water that they were created. So it's just weird when you look at the Mayans and how they were able to build such a massive city from a body around a large water source, body of water. It doesn't make sense.
Of the jungle.
Huh?
It's in the middle of the jungle, like
no. The Tikal or Tikal.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, they were 25 miles away from a body of water. The pyramids, they're in the body of water. So how are you able to build, and these are massive cities that were also built close to these large water sources that hosted they assume about 100,000 citizens. And then
and like where did you get all the stone to build this stuff? Where did it come from?
In the most inconvenient location.
Yeah.
So
there's other little things. Go ahead, Mel. Sorry.
So in one of the glyphs on the steps of the pyramid, the inscription claimed that its location was where the ancient god visited from the heavens, and that's why it was there. And these are Mayans. How are they able to do this without like modern technology, the resources that they would really need to build these things? How would they, and knowing how to even do it to where it's not going to collapse and kill everybody?
Yeah, where were the previously built pyramid projects that failed because they collapsed down and, you know, fucked everybody up? Where's all that? Where's the remnants of that stuff? Did they not have any kind of prototypes or test pieces before they built this gigantic, insanely huge structure? Just on a whim, they just knew it was going to work.
Right?
I don't know, man. Also, in the case of Egypt, how did they transport, you know, several 100-ton pieces of block across the entire fucking desert?
Right.
Because all that limestone had to come from all the way across the desert. Like, how did they? I find it hard to believe that they just set this stuff on logs and rolled it across the desert with a bunch of slaves.
I have a question though concerning that whole thing that you just brought up. You know, among the pieces that they found, I want to say in one of those pyramids was that little thing that looked like an airplane, like a modern day airplane.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
sir. Little gold statue looking thing.
Yeah, the little it just looks like some kind of an airplane. I mean, it's got all the fins or wings and everything. You know, it's just, where did this come from? And I mean, did this play a part in how they got built? I don't know. You know.
The only thing that I can think of in regards to that is that maybe they were modeling it after some sort of bird, and that's just
possible.
what they came up with. I don't know. But it does look just like an airplane, like a modern day airplane.
I'm looking at it, and the more I thought about it, it's like, I need to say something about it. So I just thought maybe that might play a part in it.
It's very interesting, you know. There's been lots of different, not to change the subject too drastically, but there's been lots of different mentions and supposed sightings of, you know, UFOs and extraterrestrial stuff throughout history. One of the coolest and most interesting ones that I came across in my research for this was in Nuremberg, Germany in 1561, where they had, you know, hundreds and hundreds of citizens that all saw the same phenomena in the sky. The whole sky was lit up with what they called dark balls and blood red semicircular arcs and black ferrous color. And they said they were essentially having a giant aerial battle above Nuremberg, and lots of them crashed down and were engulfed in smoke and fire and stuff. So it's like a UFO battle was taking place in the 1500s.
What do you mean a UFO battle? Could it have been, and I'm just spitballing, could it have been meteors?
Some have interpreted it as that, but when you read the actual text that this is written down, because this is a verified text, this is actually, you know, it's not just hearsay. Like, they still have this stuff written down, printed. When you read through it, it doesn't really sound like they're describing meteors, because they say that they stayed up in the sky for over an hour, and
so
it moved
lingered?
back. Yeah, it lingered in the sky for over an hour, and they moved back and forth, essentially shooting at each other. They say they were battling in the sky, and then
they were battling each other?
Yes, that's what it says.
Shut the front door.
Yeah,
well, didn't they also say there was a bunch of debris that landed in the fields?
Yeah, they say that at one point in time, it was as if they all burned up in the sky, and then they wasted away onto the earth with immense smoke. That's directly quoted. So, and then they also mentioned something in there that was in the sky that was like a giant black spear across the sky, very long and thick. One end of it pointed to the east, the other end of it pointed to the west. They don't know what that meant, but they do mention it in the text.
Probably a cigar-shaped craft.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and especially to be documented in such detail back in the 1500s is really cool.
I had no idea.
That's what I like about this group. I always find something new.
Yeah, there's a lot of different mentions of stuff like that throughout ancient history. I don't know if you want to call it ancient history, but
I don't know. I
Well,
feel like I know for sure for myself, I have learned a lot just from this group right here about any and everything.
well, I will say, I did come across that the first documented UFO sighting in the US was dated back to 1639. John Winthrop, Massachusetts Bay Colony. He recorded obviously it was a secondhand observation, but in his diary entry, March 1, 1639, he wrote that a sober, discreet man named James Everell was rowing his boat up the muddy river at night, and he saw a great light in the sky. When it stood still, it flamed up and was about 3 yards square. When it ran, it was contracted into the figure much like a swine. It ran as swift as an arrow towards Charlton, which is Charlestown, and so up and down about 2 or 3 hours. By the time the lights moved away, Everell and his boatmates had been delivered 1 mile upstream, although they had no memory of how. 1639.
Whoa, missing time too.
right.
Yep.
That's pretty fascinating.
1808, Cynthia Everett in Massachusetts recorded something similar. Her entry, July 22nd, 1808. About 10 o'clock, I saw a very strange appearance. It was a light which proceeded from the east. At first sight, I thought it was a meteor. But from its motion, I soon perceived it was not. It seemed to dart at first as quickly as light and appeared to be in the atmosphere, but lowered towards the ground and kept on at an equal distance, sometimes ascending and sometimes descending. And that was in 1808.
That's pretty cool, man.
You know, it must have been an interesting time to live when every time you look up at the sky, you know, well, we don't have anything that flies up there.
Yeah, nobody,
Right.
People can't fly.
Because planes weren't invented until obviously December 17th, 1903, the Wright brothers.
Yeah, that's pretty wild, which, that's another thing that one of the other cases I found, some of the older stuff back in actual ancient history in BC. So in 214 BC, Titus Livius Patavinus, he was a Roman historian, wrote about these things that he called phantom ships that were apparently they were seen gleaming in the sky. You know, there's not much written about that, but it is worth noting that they were talking about ships gleaming in the sky in 214 BC. And then another one that's really curious back in BC was in 74 BC, the Roman historian Plutarch, which I'm sure you guys have heard of if you follow history. Mm-hmm. He described an instance in when the Roman army was fighting against King Mithridates. I don't know how to say his name, but he describes this crazy phenomenon that they had. It was like a big giant flame body that fell down in between the two armies on the battlefield. But what's really interesting about what he wrote is he says, in shape, it was most like a wine jar, and in color, like molten silver. And he said thousands of people saw this and confirmed it.
That's interesting.
That's very interesting. And Plutarch is a very famous Roman historian and
he was an
philosopher.
essayist.
Yeah, I've read a lot of his works.
Same here. It's not like he's just, he was well regarded.
Absolutely. It's interesting to see these things, so far back in history, especially in, BC times, to have things actually documented about flying things in the sky and things crashing down to the earth and shit. It's like pretty wild.
Definitely.
Didn't
Glistening.
Titus Flavius Josephus also
Josephus?
Yeah, didn't he also write something in like the 1st century where I know.
Yeah. The chariots in the sky guy.
Yeah,
Chariots of the Gods.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That guy. And he even noted that I remember learning that in his writing, he thought everybody wouldn't believe him. And so he like prefaced it with, I know everybody is going to think this is a story or a fable or something like that.
Yeah.
But he saw the kind of like what you were talking about in Nuremberg, fighting in the sky.
Yeah, he said that there was, you know, numerous eyewitnesses that he had interviewed and stuff, and he said that there was chariots and armed battalions hurtling through the clouds and encompassing the cities.
Yep. And then I do know, I'm Korean or half Korean, that
congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. But in the Joseon dynasty, I don't know. It's one of those days. So in the Joseon dynasty, they had it's like in 1607, 1608, 1609, somewhere around there. They saw in the sky a wash basin that made a thunderous clap and a thunderous sound as it flew through the sky as swiftly as the arrows.
That's interesting.
Huh. Mm-hmm. And
you
that
said a thunderous clap.
A clap, like a sound.
Yeah, are we talking? So would that?
They call me thunderclap.
Be like a sonic boom?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Well, I don't know. I wasn't there in 1609.
Well, obviously, but when they say thunderous clap, like, I mean, I guess they could be referring to, well, yeah, like I said.
But yeah, the sky was described as clear and cloudless. We learned this I learned this as one of my master's courses too, that it was a wash basin in the sky, and suddenly a loud and thunderous clap was heard as this wash basin flew across the sky as swiftly as an arrow.
Now, I'm assuming wash basins back in that time were, metallic disc-shaped objects. Okay, yeah, gotcha.
But that's in the annal records, the annals, because they during the Joseon
anal.
I was just waiting. It's not a real show until Joe makes some sort of butt joke. But the
only because I'm a hemorrhoid.
Oh my God, you are not. So no, you what was I talking about? Because all I can think of is
hemorrhoids and gas.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that reminds me, in the Joseon and Choson dynasties, of ancient Korea, they had to record the daily lives of Koreans to maintain preservation of the culture, because there was a lot of strife with China and Japan, and Korea was constantly being dominated and constantly being ruled by other countries. So they kept records of daily lives. And so it was noted, it was September or in the fall. I might be wrong about September, but I know it was the fall of 1609.
It's still pretty interesting, though.
I was reading something about, remember the book came out along, I don't know if y'all remember when it came out. I do. Chariot of the Gods by Von Daniken.
Yeah. I don't even know if I was alive when that came out, but.
Yeah, that was, there's a whole lot of talk in there that they think a lot of civilizations got their start by being visited by star people, whatever, and introduced, more modern ways of doing things like metal handling and a lot of stuff like that, and it kind of sped them along on their way to being able to make more, do more, and technologically advance, which I think is kind of interesting.
That's what we do as humans. We make shit. We make shit better.
But I mean, think about it. What makes a person want to make metal? I mean, you don't even know what kind of interest takes you down a pathway where you discover something like that.
Yeah, like how do you just go out and, pick up some rocks out of some field somewhere and decide I'm going to go take these back and put them in the fire and melt them down.
Exactly. How do we make this? How do we know we can make this?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So
I don't.
Yeah. It's just hypothesizing, the way the book was written and whatnot.
It's just interesting when you start piecing together all of these things from ancient history and then what was written in sacred texts and then even more modern religions, there is reference to other beings outside of Earth. And they always say there's always some truth to stories or some truth to lies. So it's kind of interesting if from way back when there was, ancient times and 1600s, 1500s, 1800s, there was nothing for them to gain. It was before planes were invented. So how would they even be able to describe what they see in the sky? What could it have been?
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually recorded, and these are written in diaries. It's not like they went out and talked to the media about it and got a television show or, a radio show about it. So it's just pretty interesting to see so much documentation prior to Roswell.
Mm-hmm. What about all the glyphs and stuff painted on all kinds of things by cultures that didn't have written languages,
Right. Like a lot of the native tribes refer to a sky god.
Mm-hmm.
A sky god. So it's like, were they onto something? Has it really been around since the beginning?
I think so. I think, for as long as there's been humans on the earth, there's probably been stuff in the sky running around. There just wasn't near as many reported cases of it back then because there weren't near as many people in the world to see it.
Or
either that or there was no method to record it.
Or that too. Yeah, absolutely.
Or could it have been like during ancient times, like with native tribes and even with the Egyptians? Could it have just been a common thing to see?
Could have.
Maybe.
I mean,
I'm not saying it's aliens.
If you've got something helping you build these massive pyramids or establish these massive, intricate cities, and you've got glyphs of saucers and wash basins or whatever you want to call them,
mm-hmm.
It's not as rare as if we saw that today, wouldn't you think?
I think we're a lot more conditioned to it today.
You think so?
Especially with, we actually have things that are capable of flying through the sky all the time. So it's not really, I imagine we probably see a lot of things in the sky all the time. A lot of people do, and they don't think twice about it. They're just like, oh yeah, the fucking plane up there.
Mm-hmm.
Or the International Space Station flying through the sky. Or Starlink.
Right.
The other thing you have to take into account is the more advanced the technology it is, when introduced to a more ancient civilization, a less evolved civilization, that technology is going to be seen as magic.
Sure.
Yeah.
That changes the whole scale. I mean, you started out with, here we are seeing things in the sky and we have nothing that even does that. We just look at the sky and it's all mystery to us. To now we got all these things that fly and it's like, did we see what we actually thought we did, or was it just something normal?
Exactly.
I get it. I was like, where are you going with that, Joe? Well, where are you going with that, Joe?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, if you're going and seeing the super advanced technology out there, and it's magic. It must be God doing this. I mean, so you're going to have other interpretations in religious texts.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, let me understand this correctly. So you're positing or hypothesizing that whether it's Christianity or Catholicism or even the, Enoch's or whatever, Hebrews, what have you, if they see an alien or something or UFOs in the sky, they're assuming it may be magic, and so they relate to God, or they create a religion.
Yes. And that's not an original hypothesis coined by Mr. Robideau here. I mean, many guys have talked about it, and it makes sense. I mean, you see something coming down from space or whatnot, and your religion is completely based around one celestial being that's created everything, then you're going to go, well, that must be his messenger coming down to see me.
Oh, yeah. For me and the Lord, we got an understanding. We're on a mission from God.
Or him.
Or him.
But in for example, Christianity, nobody has seen God.
You want to go down that road? Let's do it.
Oh, no.
Well, there's that one guy who's seen his face in a Dorito.
Oh, yeah.
Or was it the toast?
Toast.
The toast
was
was Jesus.
Toast.
Toast with Jesus,
Yeah, Jesus was in the toast. No, but I'm saying, like, in the Old Testament, which which formed the basis for it before Christ, nobody had seen God. So what are you referring to with
angels?
Like Judaism?
They talk about angels. They talk about celestial beings coming down, heavenly bodies that are or heavenly beings that are coming down to deliver God's message.
Yeah. And various other, religions across the world have talked about beings from the heavens, or messengers from the heavens, exactly, coming down.
So if you have some sort of weird alien coming down from space to go and deliver like information or whatnot, well, that kind of screws up your religion, the way it's going to be handed. Like, you're going to have some sort of questioning going on, people questioning the religion. So if you go, well, that's God's message.
Wait, what do you mean that it would cause problems in the religion? Say that again.
Okay, if an alien came down and started giving us information and whatnot, and your religion says, well, God created us, God created everything for us, blah, blah, blah. Well, and then you have an alien pop down, some sort of other intelligent race out there coming down, starts giving out info. Well, instead of trying to explain it and go, well, they're just a lot more smarticle than we are.
We come in peace. We come in peace. We come in peace.
You just go,
smarticle.
God sent him. It's a lot easier.
I don't think it would throw a big wrench. Are you talking about historically that God sent them?
Well, I mean, in my 20s, I've seen plenty of heavenly bodies, so I can't disagree.
Disturbing, Paul? No.
My man.
Cue Pimp Daddy music here.
And I would say something else, but I'm not. So
I'm not saying what if God sent them or God didn't send them and they just wandered down here. I'm just saying that it would make sense that if an alien being wandered down here to Earth, it would be a lot easier to go and explain it to the masses that, hey, this thing is God's messenger that came down instead of some smarticle being that could destroy us and cause mass
I guess
panic.
this is where I'm getting lost is your lack of pronouns. Who is telling the mass people? The alien is telling the masses that they were sent by God?
No. I'm talking religious leaders it would be a lot easier for them to just go and say, this is an angel or this is a messenger from whatever God we worship.
I don't know, because in the beginning of Genesis, they talk about how angels had appeared to Lot and said, do this, or appeared to Moses and said, do this. I don't.
That could still.
Yeah, I don't.
That could be this.
It could be an alien. I don't know, but I don't think it would change the religion itself necessarily if they're
not necessarily
acknowledging it.
But it would be a safe thing to say to help stop mass panic.
See, right. my thing is most people have a depiction of what an angel or a demon or whatever is supposed to look like, and most people would think, it's going to be this fully white clothed thing with wings on a halo on its head, versus if an alien came down here and absolutely looked nothing like that. So if it didn't look like that, people aren't going to think it's an angel, or they're not going to think it was sent by God.
Or it's possible that the term back then wouldn't have been alien. It could have been angels. That's the best way to describe it if they come from the heavens, meaning up in the sky.
But if you look at what we view angels as in today's standards, you're talking all that. Yeah. But if you actually go back to the book of Enoch, they are some weird looking
things, yes.
I mean, they talked about one of their vessels to transport in was multiple rings with eyes located all over it, glowing. It's really weird. I'm actually going to look up this YouTube video that gave artists representations of what is described in Enoch, and I think we should post that.
I think something along the lines of what the Joe was saying, and this brought me back to Close Encounters when the ship comes down and they've got everybody gathered together and they're talking religious, and at one point the preacher says, God has given you his angels, meaning these aliens, and that's something I think is kind of similar to what he's talking about.
Oh, I mean, I could totally agree with what Joe is saying. Mm-hmm. But just trying to look at it in the eyes of what, maybe other people think.
Interpretation?
Yeah, okay.
Because I think that's what we all do. We try and find ways to put things in boxes we all recognize, even when we don't.
Right.
Yes.
I don't like boxes. They scare me.
We got a box. We got a box! Call the bomb squad. I need a bomb squad. We got a box!
I saw you with the box. What was in the box? What's in the box? What's in the fucking box?
Something special, girl.
It's like in a box. In a box, girl. It's like in a box. In a box, girl.
All right, guys, that's where we're going to wrap up episode 7 of MVP's All Things Considered. Join us next week where we will discuss the mysteries of Skinwalker Ranch. Thanks for stopping by, everyone.